live. All I can say is we are closer than we have been in a long time, and it is so evident, it is so obvious, because just as everybody should be getting excited, you should see my comments the last day or so. In the comment section, all the victims, all of the ones that just can't understand exactly what's going on in this part of the phase, everyone who thinks that they're one step ahead. You're actually one step behind in the comments, and some of you should go back and read some of these comments. They are hilarious. To the point that I had to tell somebody to pick their balls off the floor because they've embarrassed themselves so bad that, and this is remaining as humble as I possibly can be. But it's just, there's indicators that start to happen as you start to be towards that final flush area. And a big part of it is seeing retail. You can see the biggest leading indicator if somebody's a winning or losing trader is simply based on if they're playing the victim or if they're playing somebody who is sharing. You can see it, you can spot it, and when we get to this point, now all of a sudden the local shoe shiner, the gas station attendant, the guy who's anybody who tries to give advice in the finance world that doesn't understand finance, and when you're in the great bullish top, they always look right. And now when you get to the part where they really need to focus in, really need to pay attention, they're the ones crying victim. This is when you have to pay attention right now. You have to pay attention to this flow. I've been saying since Friday night when the CME futures closed, XRP, when we came online Sunday night back on the futures, we would have to come fill 251. Said it yesterday. I said during the speech that I would not take out a futures trade there because in my experience, they liquidate the longs after these, like they end up being buy the rumor, sell, or it's buy the rumor, sell the news, but that's not the end of it. This isn't just done. We now have a gap left from last night when the futures closed. I believe it was at $2. Was it 54? So we've got upward momentum coming when everybody's about to just bail out. Just bail out. It's incredible seeing what ends up happening. When I come in happy, the surrounding narrative is that it's over, we failed, it's done. Guys, we announced the end of quantitative tightening on December 1st. Now everybody's getting scared. Are we kidding me? Well, I know not everybody in my audience who's going to be here right now is scared. But the general dynamic, it's, feed me. I'm like Seymour. Feed me. Just feed me all of this negativity. Feed me all of the victim mindsets. Feed it to me, because I know. I've been through this cycle or this space long enough now that I know when the time's coming. And we know. That great drop we had was a good time to buy. When we get into these, you want to know what's a pure crime this morning? Still, if you're not paying attention to Axlar, it's criminal that it's at 16.8 cents. And I know it came down much farther on that wick down, but this is just criminal at this point. It's just, there's certain things when you're looking, there's certain things that I see on this, and I could see us dragging on still, but we are oversold now. Remember that we talked, the other time frames are going to catch up to what we're seeing in the higher time frames. Higher time frames are massively oversold. Daily is what was worrying us all across the market. Remember, we were overbought all across the market in the daily. So the only thing we're waiting for is that daily to give us some clearance. And right now, I mean, we're starting to make a hell of an opportunity here. Look at Epic down 6%. And like we said, we have to match this up when we start to get the actual setup in this. So we just tried to put a short term. But if it starts coming down, maybe it's in a channel. Maybe it did break down. Maybe it comes down farther. So you kind of have to measure it up as we go because we don't have the evidence right now. But we are getting into these extremely oversold areas, even in the smaller time frames, where we're going to have no choice but to have a reversal and grab some liquidity from the top. There's a lot of topside liquidity, and when money's scared, what does it do? It goes to a more sound place, so more people found their way into gold this morning. I don't know if it's necessarily going to hold, because we haven't come all the way down to where I thought we would on the first drop. 35.77 was the first area that I was thinking. So I'm not sure that we're done yet. It doesn't seem like we could possibly be done yet on this drop. I think we get to 35.77, we can start to have a talk. But we'll see. Money finds yield. So they found yield in the safety of gold and silver, which with what's going on in crypto, especially overnight and right now, I would think sound yield is desired. When you start looking at the actual breakdown of XRP, we filled that gap. At least, but in the futures chart, did we make our way down there yet? We haven't made our way exactly down to 251 yet. We're at 253-ish. But we definitely left an area over the top when the futures market closed last night. I can't remember what it was at. Was it 254 maybe? Something like that? If somebody can let me know in the comments, I can't remember. But look at us in the 4-hourly, massively oversold now. 3-hourly, oversold in a good way. 2-hourly, oversold. What's these smaller ones? Catching up now. This is all, I mean, at a certain point, all ends are going to meet here. You know what I'm starting to think why a lot of people are getting mad? We got a lot of hidden leverage traders, I think. It's the only explanation that makes sense to me. There's a lot of leverage traders in retail, and they get so pissed off because they're trying to get in and out, and they're getting liquidated instead of just holding in spot like we preach. That's got to be what it is. Or they're missing the price altogether. Ledger Tech 254.70. Excellent. Excellent. Guys, this has nothing to do with the government shutdown right now. I know we want to keep saying that, and I respect my audience, but that's not what's causing this. I didn't even know about the government shutdown when I was talking about this rotation, when I was talking about these pattern setups. It's the charts. This is what has to... This is common exhaustion phase right before we have the parabolic phase. It happens every single time. There's not this... The government shutdown has zero to do with this. The government shutdown's actually going to be the reason we go parabolic, believe it or not. The government shutdown is how they're actually going out of quantitative tightening back into easing. The government shutdown is how they keep continuing to lie to us and make it sound like there's no choice but to lower rates and all this nonsense. Jerome Powell acting hawkish yesterday was by design, saying, oh, we don't know, December rate cuts they're not even guaranteed. Bullshit. If he doesn't cut rates in December, he's going to put such a... Actually, you know what? I take that back. There's a 75% chance he stays firm in December and doesn't cut it. What I meant to say is bullshit that they would raise it, because that's a lot of the talk now. What he's going to do probably in December, after we get a nice spike in the mid part of November, you watch. If this is the play, he's going to keep rates the same and crash the markets before Christmas. That's the only way he's going to bring the stock market down, is if he pulls one of those. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, so there's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Stay the same in December, crash the markets a little bit, but we're going to have an upward tug before then. All these markets crashing right now just leads further validation into it. And quantitative tightening is the worst thing you can hear for crypto. The end of quantitative tightening, which conveniently starts December 1st, is the great... I mean, there's a lot of people that are missing the news right now. A lot of people that are missing it, but Bitcoin, it itself is going to have an exhaustion reversal. And remember, I put in the Telegram yesterday. It's formed a nice inverse right shoulder. We don't know. It can still come down farther if it wants. In theory, it could, I mean, we don't really want to see it come that far, but it could theoretically stay on top. But it's got a nice inverse head and shoulders here, perfectly. And now if it pulls up, the right shoulder coming down farther is the bull's way of saying we're in control here, in my opinion. When I see stuff like that, because I'm now using this entire bottom as the head formation with an extended wick, because that's actually what happened. Left shoulder, here, let me show you. So if this comes up now, the Bulls are playing a little game with the Bears saying, hey, we got you by the dick now. We're going to pull you in the direction we want, whether you like it or not. So down to the inverse left arm, down to the rounding head, back up to the rounding shoulder. If the Bulls take advantage here and pull up, they're going to say, we got you by the dick. And that's what I think is going to start to play out in the beginning of November, or at least in November in part. Because like I said, November is going to be our bullish time. December, it's never what everybody says. We always have the Christmas dump. And I think December is not going to be so beautiful, only because I think we could have a agenda here that could be at play. And unfortunately, I hope I'm not right with that theory that they're going to keep it right just to crash the markets. So my title this morning was very simple, and we'll get into that right after the intro. Good morning. 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, October 20th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I did a very simple thing on this. I just put on the bottom that the CME gap. Oh no, that's not the one. This one. I put that the CME gap was filled on the bottom. I didn't want it to overtake a lot of the page, but I wanted it to kind of emulate all of the artistic stuff that people have done in the past, especially with the diamond hands and the hand coming out of the ground. But I incorporate this into what I think is coming. So, obviously you can see what the billboard says, and that's not that it's coming November 12th. That's that alt season should be starting to rev up towards that time. So mid-November, there's a lot of Qs in here. You got XRP lined up in here, a few different tokens if you read in between in the hands. So you got the rising, if you would look in the very background. So, if you pay attention, I'm trying to incorporate now. Instead of just having the same background, I want to make it, for the ones who have been here for a while, understand kind of the decoding phase. So, and I'm not going to keep anything tied down. It's just, hey, this is the way it goes. Now, how far can we come today? Unfortunately, how far we can come would be, let's see where the top of this is at right here. If we want to come all the way back, now will we get there in one shot? We're about to find out. 240, right around 242.9-ish maybe. I don't know if I don't think it can just, it could drop to 242 in one drop. Especially because it fell out of this setup right here. So once it falls out of this, it gives us the ability to drop back into that area. Now, let me preface it. If we come back down and we don't hold what I just showed, that 240, we'll call it 242.5 just to give it some credit. If we don't hold 242 and we fall back within this, you are on life support. Because if we fall under this pattern, literally, we could start to have to talk about that $1.77 to $1.82 area that we've been hinting at, but not guaranteed to come down there. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to come into that area, but it is a possibility. And if we break the structure, it's a big possibility. I'm still holding on hope that 242 area will hold. And not just that we don't entirely come down there, that we're starting to exhaust ourselves this morning. And that we're going to end up coming back and retest the 254-ish gap that was left last night. But when it gets dicey, it gets dicey. So that's why we wanted that 251 to hold at the CME. Otherwise, oh yeah, definitely head and shoulders if this doesn't pan out. It could definitely be playing that way. Absolutely. In this formation, that's what we were talking about yesterday, that it was starting to round the top like the Bart Simpson top. That's what we were talking about during Jerome Powell's speech. Because it rounded at 264. Now, we probably should get some kind of test here where we dropped out, but we did once. We're going to get more tests before we just fall through. I still think what we have to watch out for. So if you're going to try to leverage short here, here's what I'm going to warn you. Just like when people were trying to leverage long yesterday, I was trying to warn everybody continuously about that CME gap. Again, Now in the futures, when it closed yesterday, we've got this gap at like 254, 7-ish. So no matter where we go right now, even if we fall out here and we go down to the two, unless it's skipped and we're entirely bearish, which would be a big problem. You know, we've got some, I'm watching some very fine lines here right now because we're getting close to one of those teeter points. Oh yeah, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. We've got 132 people in here, not even half. I think 40% have hit that like button. So please make sure you pay it forward in the least by hitting that like button. It helps so much for me to pass my content on. We're exhausting ourselves this morning. We're going to have a found reversal, but where? That's the question. If you're trading leverage, please, I advise you trade spot. But if you are, be cautious. I'm telling you about these higher gaps for a reason. I tell you about the lower gaps for a reason. We're kind of kicked in the dick here, but we've got this area above where we're going to come back up eventually, and we're going to get a whole bunch of people. The long traders just got slapped today. Like I said yesterday, the average person trade is 35x in retail. They got smacked today. Hell, if you traded 20x yesterday, where does it put us? I'm just curious because I want to see how many people are wiped this morning because it sucks. Day in and day out, I got to come in and talk about missing liquidity. That even affects our own audience, believe it or not. So let's just say 256. I won't even go up any higher than that. No, I can't do that because we were up here yesterday. Okay, I mean, this is going to be ugly. Yeah, that is freaking ugly. That's 15x is gone. Anything like 13, 14x and down or up is gone. Wow. I didn't realize it was that bad. That's big. If it comes down here, you're talking about everything. At least probably 11x and up. Yeah, there's a lot of people not doing very well right now. Why would we do that, Frankie Fresh? It did exactly what I thought it was going to do. You mean the opposite of what retail thinks? I've done that since the beginning. That's why I like to see people talk about where they think it's going to go. I always say this every day. Like, look at my comments. Look at the talk. Everybody says it's over now. Not in this like if you look at the video comments. But yesterday during the live, I said I thought it would come down first before we make the push up because they always do the opposite. If everybody thinks it's going to go long and everybody's leveraging long, well, why would you go long with the market makers? So there's been a few people, right? Yes, retail. That's what I thought you were saying, Frankie Fresh. Sorry, I was reading your comment when I'm on this little, well, I don't know if I'd call it a tangent, but a little more outwardly. I'm just trying to make it obvious what's going on now. It's really obvious. So now what I think is going to happen is we're going to get overwhelming shorts this morning. And I'm not a rocket scientist, but watch what happens. Now a lot of people are going to go short, right? Now, what are the odds that we come up to that 254.70 to fill that now? Oh, I absolutely agree. You know what I did this morning? I looked around the market and said, what's the most criminal assets out there? Like how cheap are some of the cheap? And right now, since it's come all the way down here, I would look at that 16,468. And then we can start looking at this in a different way now, see? We can start looking at it as, is the pattern trying to build an outward setup now? And then we can build it outward. Then we got to find where the outward is. Because maybe it did start right here. And maybe we have something like this. Or maybe it comes farther. We got to figure it out, but we don't have the evidence right now. That's what sucks about this. So it's guessing. Once we figure this last leg bottom here, it'll be much easier to figure. This will be much easier on certain assets here. But we're coming towards a big, we're coming towards a dangerous spot here. You know, for a lot of people. I told you, they're hunting leverage right now like you couldn't believe. Not just shorts, but longs. They're going both ways. So if Bitcoin's going to come under 100K here now, I'm going to show you something real quick. Bitcoin's put itself in a spot. If we're going to come down all the way to that, because I still think 92 is a big possibility. There's that gap down there. And if this breaks at 105.7-ish, we are in some trouble in the short term. But let's see. Bitcoin, 2 hourly pushing down strongly. These are pushing down. Where are we at? 4 hourly's big time oversold. So we're going to have a reversal soon. But we have the escrow dump tomorrow. Tom, when everyone's liquidated, where does that money go to the platforms? And then the platforms have deals with people that, all right, let's put it this way. Basically what ends up happening is when you put it on leverage, if you take out a short, you know, and once it gets liquidated, what they end up doing is and it's such a sick game, they just take that money. And most times the exchanges, they will actually buy the asset that you got liquidated on with your liquidated money. So let's say you get liquidated $10,000 on XRP. They may buy 10,000 shares of XRP with your liquidated funds. That's a dirty secret. Or they go into the dark pools that nobody wants to talk about. And that's a very shady game. That's like the banks taking our money when we're or like the stock market, and let's say we're invested in, let's call it B2 Gold for this instance. Or no, let's call it Amazon. You're invested in Amazon, and what ends up happening is you have call and puts. Well, they end up taking your shares for the way that these are set up, and then once somebody gets liquidated, they put your shares back and take the money that was put up for collateral out of your shares, and they put it either into shares themselves, and most of the time they put it to the opposite. So here's the tricky part with the exchange. So imagine you have a long, and let's just say, where's XRP? 246. Let's say you bought in at 265, right? And your liquidation's at 245 right now. No, 246 since we already hit it. And let's say it's this close right now. Act like it didn't go through. They will look at their algorithm will look at it and say, okay, we've got X amount of liquidations at $2.46. It makes sense to come down here because it's such an order block. They will literally either turn off the futures buy in that moment at certain pricing, or they will invest themselves and sell some of their shares, mostly if they need it to go down. They'll sell some of their holdings to liquidate these things, knowing you're going to have a gap down, because once you liquidate, you all of a sudden have this big catapult effect that goes down, and they'll just rebuy the shares back. It's some horse shit. They've been doing that in silver and gold manipulation for decades. They do it in crypto because the more regulation, the easier it gets. And I know it sounds crazy. Defined. That's why they had to clear out all that leverage on the big dump. Do you know how much leverage was? We had a historic liquidation. The exchanges don't have as much money on longs right now as everybody thinks. They really don't. That's what actually makes this easier. Now, I keep telling everybody, once Bitcoin comes down to 72, no. They won't have all the leverage to cover all the stuff that's being leveraged out. They need it to go up. Remember, everybody's mortgaging Bitcoin, so they need it to go up. It can't go past a certain point. That's why I always draw the line at 72. If it goes below 72, you better get all your money off of every exchange other, maybe even the tier 1 exchanges, and let it play out, because it's going to get ugly. And it's not that you can't hold the asset anymore. It's that if it breaks down those levels and everybody gets the old margin call, or like look at Michael Saylor. Everybody asked the question, and I've seen it. You know, I find it quite weird that Michael Saylor only buys on the tops. It'll drop a bunch of money, and he won't buy until it makes a new high. It doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. He can't buy the dips because the valuation goes down too far in his own holdings. Once it makes the next new high, now his valuation changes, and the bank or whoever's loaning him the money at whatever interest rate is willing to do it because his value's gone up artificially. So then he can take out more. But when it drops again, he can't go back and say, can I get another loan based on my valuation because it went down? If he goes and does that, they're going to say, well, as a matter of fact, you're starting to inch up a little close to the point here now on this last drop. We don't feel so secure in your investment. And that's all they have to do. All the bank or the institution that loaned him money, and I know he put a lot into MicroStrategy as common shares, all it has to do is go the wrong way for a little bit, and all these people are going to start to get that call. Hey, this is too risky of a loan we gave you. You're going to have to pay back X amount. And if you don't know anything about it, Dave Ramsey does a great job when it comes to real estate. When he talks about it, he had no clue what they were talking about. He had all these loans. He borrowed with I don't know if they call them HELOCs back then, but he borrowed against the housing he already had to buy new housing, and everything was going great. He was a multimillionaire on paper. But the bank, when we got into a risky time, I believe it was in the 80s or 90s, when they got into a crunch, they looked and said, hey, this guy's like in his early 20s and he's got all this leverage out on this housing. It's a little risky here. And they called his note for several $1 million and he didn't have it liquid. So he spent years trying to liquidate and getting back on the right side. Years. That's what happens in these markets too. When it comes to finance and economics, they all run the same way. And that's what sucks about this. And if you don't understand and you think you're just buying or selling a share, there's so much more. Or buying a token, it's so much more than that, than you could ever imagine. That's why when I get criticized in the comments after putting out a video, it's like, now that gap is officially filled on the futures. Congratulations. I was waiting for that to come down to that 251. Now it's at 249.5. That's been filled. Now we have a seeming gap at 254-ish for the regular market, which will be interesting. So I would not be surprised to see some upward momentum now that everybody this morning can say, we're going short now. I think we needed to come down in the futures to fill that CME, like I said, from Friday, and now we'll see what happens. We don't know if it held or went through because we haven't come back up for rejection yet, so we'll see. Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Arm for 6+ months with the XP Predictor and gifting one XRP Future Millionaire gifted sub. It's Dave, just Dave, gets the gifted sub. Thank you so much. It's Dave, just Dave. And congratulations on being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. I really appreciate every member of Tom's Army in here. I can't possibly go all the way back. There's too many people in here with way too many comments. But I'll catch you on the fly. Christopher Brown, Mr. Tolley, Scott Lowry, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Frankie Fresh, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor along with the Define Group. Craig Carlson, and thank you, Define, for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. Says, my concern about this is when we finally make that all-time move, will these platforms have the money to cover all the leverage longs? To me, this seems like a liquidity nightmare. They're so big of a nightmare, but it's worse than anybody can imagine. It's in a different way. It's in a different way. They're actually mortgaging the entire world's future to make us a one unified, controlled world by way of, and I hate to say it, but by way of digital assets, and I can tell you it for a fact how they're doing it. They're going to make us beg the government for anybody who doesn't have the funds, and that's going to be about 95% who I talk to, unfortunately. But we're not going to have the money to live properly, so everybody's going to beg for that universal income. WorldCoin is the digital world. That's going to be the universal income if they use the digital tokens. It's going to be WorldCoin that does this. They've already got the framework in place. If you haven't run into it deeper, people are like, why don't you invest in it? Because it's too scary. I'm not investing in that. I'll invest in XRP, but I'm not investing in that pile of what it's going to turn this world into. Just like the same reason I stopped investing in Polygon, because they created the DigiID, which is actually going to be the how you're going to have to scan yourself to trade crypto after the new regulations go in. So we're begging for it by regulation, and they're going to give you it. I'm not going to be in this space anymore when they do it, FYI. I'll still be covering it, but I won't trade it. I'll cover it every single day like I do now. But if I have to do something over and above to trade the assets, I'm not doing it. So, we'll enjoy this while we can. So I think this time is the time going into 28 when Trump's out and it's not because of him, it's just by design. They're not going to do it while he's sitting there because they have to keep the, the appeal to the public out there. Not the right and the left are two different things, even though they're both. Just think of this: the right and the left, the Democrat and Republic, are each side of the horn of the devil, which is the central bank. So whether you root for the right or the left, you're just one of the horns on the devil's head. So does it matter if your horn's a little less horny than the right? I mean, come on. That's all you need to worry about. 2026, I seen a comment. Emerging markets, absolutely. I think 26 is going to have the best year they've ever had. And metals by the mid to late 26, these prices you see today aren't even going to register. So there's a big opportunity developing outside and inside of crypto too, but everybody's so scared now. We needed this to happen though. We were back in neutral, and I said yesterday, I hate when it gets up there. Too many people were getting too happy. Look how easy it came down. Back into fear, baby. So, and defined, I mean, I don't disagree with you though. When we get to the all-time move, it depends how many people we can take out as far as liquidation is concerned. It all depends how many people we can take out. And by going all the way down to where we did, we took out so many long traders. I can't even explain to you. It was the biggest liquidation in the history of futures trading in crypto. We had the biggest long liquidation ever when we had that drop in the history of crypto, going all the way back to the beginning of time. So there's a lot of people that are no longer billions. So I was fearful the last couple days just because we had that gap. We knew it had to be filled. I'm less fearful today than I was yesterday. You could almost say I'm a little greedy today. XLM down 4.68%. Working its way back down, and it's in this little channel, so it's within a range of about 36.75. And now would be down to about 25.7. Too oversold. It's never going to get down there. None of this is ever going to get down there in the 4-hourly. Guys, look how oversold we are. Like, you know that pattern setup. What does that look like? It's a descending wedge. It looks like. I guess it could be a... It looks like a reversal, though, when the stochastic in the 4-hourly is about to happen. I think we're going to get some extreme volatility. Plus, they don't sell the tokens for XRP until the 31st at a certain time. They're probably going to appreciate this price a little bit before they sell them for some money. But we'll see. I know, Mr. Carlson, unfortunately. And they've already done that in some of the Asian countries about 15 years ago or so. So it's moving on very quickly. But they... Just hold on one second. I gotta sneeze. Just let the fear play out. Let this fear play out. The support structure here right now for XRP. If you're looking at it, we're on the cusp. The cusp right now, falling out of demand. So we'll see if we get the proper demand here. And then you want to look firmly here. Firmly right here. We haven't come all the way through here yet. Nobody says we have to come all the way there. We've come down to... How far have we come down now? 245... Sorry, 245.98-ish. So, we've come down a lot. There's no doubt about it. We have come down a lot here. XDC. We didn't have the evidence for XDC. Now we can see if it builds. I don't know where it's going to build, but now we can actually put some proper thing here. So I don't know. I got to blow my nose real quick. But if we do get a big drop here, you know the areas. So, and we can't get to a big drop until we clear out the support. We still have to get past 244-ish. No, 242-ish for XRP. And then we would need to break 229 to start this real descent towards $1.77 to $1.82, which is very much on the table.
The recently announced ceasefire in the Middle East and today's announcement of progress in the US-China trade negotiations have mitigated some of the downside risks to economic growth. At the same time, the still volatile global trade environment could disrupt supply chains, further dampen exports, and weigh on consumption and investment.
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're new, make sure to hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button, as we're sitting at 47,100 for seemingly weeks now. I'm very much shadow banned, so I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. How you found my station is important, but I'm just glad I'm glad you're here, because we have a lot of volatility. I said it yesterday. When there's a lot of volatility to the downside, it's funny because a lot of people will show up because they want to see the in the moment charting. But I hope you pay attention to the message too, that we're getting into rather oversold here in the 4 hourly, which is, if we get this reversal, where are we going? Okay, that's a great question. It all depends. So first area I would target is 250. Here, let's go to the futures chart. Nah, let's stay on here since I can show you the in-between moves. If we get a reversal, and it can come down to 242 and hold there, I would prefer for it not to come all the way down there. I'd like it to catch somewhere about where it's at, so that we can use the 242 as a downward push after the pull up to 254.7 to fill that gap. If you're gonna gap fill, you want to do this in order. So now, before we come to 242, you'd want to come up to that 254.7, close that futures part from last night, and then come down, because there would be added liquidity for the move down now to the $2.42 support tap. You can create this move. Otherwise, if we just power down there, I don't think it's going to just fall through. I think then, so we can create a little springboard. We've got, and the daily gaps that closed the night before are more likely to be filled quicker than a weekly gap close on a Friday, you know, because you got a couple days of trading that makes it a little bit tricky. I expect some upward volatility today. You know, it's just, I don't know if it gets all the way to 242-ish or not, but I expect some upward volatility. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go there and go make a leverage trade by my audience. No, that means you sit here, and if you're going to do something, spot trade. What's so bad about spot trading? Why are we so greedy? Why so greedy? And like I said yesterday, as far as this goes, like, because of the way the market's moving, I'm not so sure I'm going to sell anything. I might sell this, but now I need to see if we get a back test here. If we don't get the back test and it comes right back through, well, I'm not selling it. But if we get a back test, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. This could just be one of those situations where, you know, it happens as it happens. It just happens. We let it happen. I don't know. I've made up my mind. We'll see how this reacts on the, because we're going to get a back point. So we need to see how this market reacts. We need to see how it reacts. We really need to close that so that we can see how this reacts. Like, is that a big resistance? Yeah, hit that like button, please. 98 likes. 98 likes. I think we're putting out great information this morning. I've tapped all the different areas of concern, tapped all the information points, showed the fear and greed. We can look at the liquidation, how it occurs now, because these are all important. One more like to 100. Can we get 100 likes? We don't know. I have to convince people. Do I have to drop my nuts to the floor and pick them right back up so we can get to 100? What do I have to do? Do I have to legitimately get on my hands and knees and beg you from way down here? I beg of you, get me to those 100 likes, those triple digits. There we go, up to 109. Thank you. Now, liquidity zones. Liquidity zones. Let's take it out into, let's see. Let's go 6 months first. Let's go 6 months first. 6 months will be, we'll work our way out and back in. I appreciate it. Everybody saying we're doing a great job.
2% target in the medium term. We will
Um,
independent and meeting by
in the 6 month, I mean, to come down here,
6 months.
it hasn't formed a lot of liquidity still. Let's get out of the 6 month. We're gonna have to try to find some better, and it's freezing. The 6 month on here always is a pain in the ass for anybody who ever watches. For some reason, CoinAnk, I can't be mad because they put out a lot of information, but always has a problem on the 6 month. It would have crashed if I would have kept it. That's why I just refreshed. Does it every time. 3 month definitely speaks of liquidity up here. I think that 126 is a great area to watch for Bitcoin. I really do. I think that's an area of concern. Tom, can you tell us a bit about your background experience? That would be a very in-depth conversation. Like background experience into what? Like my life? I tend to go off onto that and points when, you know, my financial. Oh, yeah. And the space. Well, I don't know. Financial. I started out when I was born, but not born with any kind of money. My parents got divorced when I was 8. Basically, I was taught by my mom to always make sure you have the necessities: milk, bread, peanut butter, eggs. What else? Bread, the basics, so that you can fill yourself. Yada yada yada. My dad worked like 3 jobs when my parents got divorced, and I started working young with my dad and helping him with the sprinkler company and yada yada yada. So I didn't have any money. Even when I moved out, I broke my back when I was 23 in a car accident, and that kind of set me back for many, many years. But by the time I was 29-ish, after like 7 years of physical therapies, and I mean, I'm talking like 4 and 5 days, getting my nerve endings burned off in the back of my lower back, because I couldn't walk without a cane and yada, yada, yada. So it kind of split something there. So then I tried to work again, got into a really bad car accident again. Had frontal lobe damage, wasn't my fault. None of them were, but that doesn't matter. And then I started doing, so me and Julie, when we got together 11 years ago, we didn't have any money. We would pay bills and we would literally go into the negative. My credit score was like under 500. I had countless debt on credit cards and so on and so forth. Was living in an apartment with Julie. Then I started working bearing cable line. She was actually in line for promotion when she got into her accident in 2020. But I ended up going from that, and in 2016 or 17, I said, you know what? This isn't going to work. I need to have multiple revenue streams, but I also have to, and I taught myself very deeply finance, economics, how the dollar worked, how gold and silver actually was the store of value and not my bank account, how the dollar was actually a unit of debt, and all this stuff. I taught myself a lot of stuff in my early 30s. I knew a lot of stuff, but in my early 30s, I really said, you've got 10 years until you. I wanted my house paid off at 40, and I was in such a bad spot at 30. I'm like, this can't keep going like this. So I discovered almost like a loophole in a sense when it came to, once I discovered how to work the charts. And the biggest problem was I would go on YouTube and ask these people I'd ask questions on YouTube, and they'd always tell me, oh, this can be answered in my program. Well, mind you, I couldn't even pay the light bill without going in the negative, and they want $30, $50, $500 for their course. You know, not 30, but I'm talking hundreds of dollars for their course. They had trials for like $39.90. It's like I can't even afford to pay my bills. I can't afford for your stupid class. And better yet, if you're selling technical analysis, that means you probably aren't good at what you're doing anyhow. So then I taught myself technicals during the whole blah, blah, blah and all that crap back in 2018 before the blah, blah, blah events of the COVID and stuff. I started getting into the penny stocks for the faster trading. And that was a treat in its own because you started to learn the volatility. And then I started learning options and open interest. And I just started learning all this stuff. Then I got fascinated with Wyckoff. And I got fascinated with all of the moving average, all this stuff. So then I got into crypto after having a little bit of success in the stock market. But I experienced the halting of trading and I got pissed. And cost me a lot of money one time. And yeah, I made like 10 grand on the call options, but they halted knock during that whole AMC knock and stuff. During that whole thing, And I said, oh my God, there's a lot of more manipulation than I even thought. So then I started researching that and said, I got to get out of this space. And I knew about XRP. I didn't know how to buy it because in the USA it was almost impossible. Every turn I went, they kept saying, oh, you can't buy it here. And it was like, so then I started to look into it deeper. And I said, we got about 7 years here, 8 years. And that was back in 2020 when I bought it. And I said, oh my God, we got some time here until regulations come in. And then I started looking deeper and said, this is extremely undervalued. And this lawsuit's a bunch of bullshit to begin with. So then I started my channel in March 24th of 2021. And at the time, I had a portfolio in crypto of $3,500 that I was willing to use with the audience that we bought. Or no, it was like 5,000 total, like 7,200 XRP and a couple other things. But before we get there, I was able to, with Julie, before I started the show, we moved from the apartment, bought a trailer, which I wouldn't advise, sold it. I kind of conned my way out of there. They didn't want, anyhow, I got out of there, sold it cheap, but the trailer park wasn't much happy, changing ownership without talking to them. But I went from there, then we moved into our house. We had a rent to own agreement, which then I didn't have exactly all the money I needed to buy the house like I wanted. So then I got into crypto and we turned in our space, and the commodities are a big thing. I started buying gold and silver in 2018 as the store of value. And then I bought all the way up until 2023. I bought gold and silver until it broke $2,000 an ounce for gold, and silver broke like I think it was 27, 28. And then I focused my attention on mining stocks in January of 25. But in between there in crypto and my audience, we went from $5,000 portfolio to about 18 to 19 in that first run. Sold out the top of the bull market, didn't buy back until the bottom. Then we ended up going from, I think it was a $7,500 portfolio to six figures. So, that's basically my story in crypto. And right now, it's not all in crypto because we got up to like 117,000, I think was the final, and that move up from November and on. Just good movement, good trading, a lot of good scenarios. Built in a total of, I think it was 12,000 by the time the bull market started because I bought another 5,000 of XRP at 38 cents. And that was the move that just made it. So that's why if you go back to my videos in November to December, that literally went from a $12,000 portfolio to six figures in that bull run. And I was just sitting there in awe. Because we had XRP Healthcare, we bought at 1.7 cents and it went up to 40 or 50. So, but it took years and years and years of listening to the audience and everybody else coming and saying, well, if you were a millionaire, we would trust. It's like, no, you want to see somebody build up the steps. Why watch a millionaire that's already a millionaire? You want to see how they get there. So you've been watching me grind every single day since March 24th of 2021 in this space without a day off, not asking for a damn thing from anybody. And saying if you get anything out of this, and I started the pay it forward mentality, the pay it forward motto. I don't do any paid sponsorships, no paid advertisements, none of that crap. I only show you exchanges that I personally trade on. That's it. And that's it. And I have members of Tom's Army that pay it forward. I have people that send super chats. We have somebody today who sent a gifted sub. That's the pay it forward mentality. Should there be more of it? No. No. You know why? Because there's just as much as there was meant to be. And I get about, between YouTube advertising, which might be $300 or $400 a month because I turn off the live ads, which I lose about $20 or so per stream by not having the live ads on based on my viewership and the retention. But I put the live ads on after the live because I think the ads shouldn't be on during the live because it interrupts the flow of the live. Who wants to watch a commercial or an advertisement while we're doing this live? It changes. So now the difference is instead of starting with $12,000 in this move, and I sold out before that, and everybody knows the story if you were part of it. I was begging my audience to go liquid aside from what they wanted to keep with XRP, and I begged them to take profits at 350, 340, 330, and I always beg people to buy more than they want. And I guess the best example would be in my commodities. I had like 1,500 Hecla and First Majestic and Fortuna. I cut all those back to 1,222 shares. I had overages. I had 3,500 and plus B2 gold. I cut it to 3,222 like it was supposed to be. Strategic spots to take about $18,000 off the table in commodities and still have more or shares than I even expected to have when I started the process out of each of them in my best case scenario. So now that money gets stayed to the side for oil exploration ones like Murphy's and all of that when the time's right, and that's getting close. The black oil will come next. So, but with crypto, the difference is because we were able to sell, like, and you have to put it in perspective. With IOTA, I had it, sold it at 50 or 40 something cents after buying it at 9 and 10 cents in the pre-bull market in 24. Sold it, and then bought it back at, what was it, 17 or 18. It rode up to 27, didn't sell it. Came back to 17. I sold it again, not because it came back to price, but because it looked like we were going to have a dump. Rebought that back at 8.5. So 40,000 tokens turned into 80 without adding money. That's the kind of thing that I'm trying to do now. So I did that with all of my assets. So now, you know, like a lot of things I have that are a lot cheaper, but the total portfolio now, if we have a 10x now, it's going to change the game. Or a 5x, or it's just all of that. But I don't like to talk about all that all the time because then people think I'm gloating. It's not about gloating. It's that it takes a lot of freaking work. And right now my commodities portfolio is like, even with the pullbacks and all of that, it's up over 90,000 very comfortably, like 97,000. That started at 6,000 with all of you. And I was very strategic in taking profits from crypto. And now there's like, even with what I took out, there's over $35,000 I'm up in profits. It shows in my account. So you can do the math. There was like 50 something thousand in profits, but I took 18 off the table. So I'll have to pay taxes on 18, but that's for my next part of the project without hurting my commodities holdings. So it's a big back and forth. And then the gold and silver bullion, I never sell. It's as if I don't have it. That goes on to the next generation. It's in multiple places with multiple different it's just a big story that I can't tell. Otherwise, you might be able to decode it. So there's a lot of things I've done, but I said I will never rely on the government again. I'm going to become my own central bank. And doing that, you have to have your own store of value against the US dollar because that's just the unit of debt. And then, and understanding all that, it 100% confirmed that the Republicans and Democrats are evil scumbags. They're each a horn on each side of the devil's head. Just remember that. And then I also realized to a deeper level, when you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. And God made me go through the hardships early in life. So when I got into this position and I paid my house off, thanks to the crypto moves, as everybody knows, about a year and a half ago now. So my house is paid off. I have no debt, paid off all the credit cards. I don't keep more than $2,000 in the bank at any given time. It all stays within my mutual fund. Well, retirement portfolio, which I like to do emerging markets, $7,000 a year because you get to write those off. And I started with the audience in 2024. So this year now we have 14,000 in there because we're going to max it out 7 a year. And I do the emerging markets. And that's what this chart is. So I stay very, these are the ones that I use. So, and year over year, they've done great. You know, year over year, they've done really well. Up 21% the past year on that one, 5.5 on this one, but that was the one we bought this year. And the reason we did is because it was way down. So you got to measure it from a slightly different area. That's the one we bought last year, and this is the one we bought this year. So last year, this year. And I do it based in rows, so... And I always do the first four that I wanted. I like Fidelity and Vanguard because they've been around for a long time. They've got a very long history. But yeah, so I build in a very different way than most. So I watch for opportunity. Excuse me. I watch for opportunity. And now my credit score is like 785 or whatever. Basically, that's maxed out for my positioning. Because I'm self-employed and they're not gonna. But yeah. So I hope that helps. Somebody asked me the question. I hope that didn't take too long now that it's 54 minutes in. But that's basically what I did. And it took a long time. But my net worth now went from negative when I was 30 and now I'm 41, about to be 42 in December. It's probably, with my house, that's valued around 250. With the commodities, you know, the mining stocks, with the crypto holdings.
This is not a project in search of a cause. It embodies the capacity of
Probably $500,000 now
to
is my net worth.
and to transact.
But I don't know. I don't really know how you want to judge it. So it's, I may not be a millionaire yet, but when you first watched me, I was nothing. I was just starting. Now I'm
And will be
still nothing,
user-friendly
but turning into something.
transactions throughout
And it takes a long time.
various
A lot of dedication. So the ones who are here today, I hope that
but
gave you a deeper insight.
money is a problem.
Um,
Central banks are
do I recommend any book?
and central money issued by central banks has to have its digital.
Yeah, there's a few by Mike Maloney that I would highly recommend.
When not everybody will
Um,
banknotes.
There's a few by Dave Ramsey that I would definitely recommend. Going into the debt-free living. And they're very easy to find. And one of them with Mike Maloney would be the Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century, because he talked about all of this stuff long ago. But there's like Robert Kiyosaki, I would advise, but not. The only reason I don't always advise Robert Kiyosaki is he is very oblivious now to how stupid it is to use debt to get more of stuff. He doesn't have to worry; he's got endless amounts of cash. But for the average person who doesn't, he's leading you into slaughter day after day. But for the average person who doesn't, he's leading. But you know, there's a lot of stuff. Like Mike Maloney, he's got all of his stuff on here. I believe you can just buy it on his website. I think you gotta play a video. But he should have. He used to have the links right on the bottom of here. Where's all your stuff, Maloney? But I would go through some of those, like Peter Schiff, or Erwin Schiff's book. Where is it at? Let me go grab it. I gotta remember where my books got moved to, because we had a party here. But here, I would start with this. I'll show you ones that I would start with out of my own personal collection. Ready? I would definitely start here. And I will put a different camera on so you can see. I would start here. No, it's going to be, let's see. And I know everybody's going to leave, but that's okay. We're done anyhow. But I would start here with Erwin Schiff. It's called The Federal Mafia, How It Legally Imposes and Unlawfully Collects Income Taxes. I would start with that so that you understand money. And then I would definitely take a look at this book, The Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century. It teaches you everything you need to see. And then I would get very close to this guy. Very close to this version of the Bible. This predates the King James bullshit and all the other stuff. This is the Ethiopic version of the Bible. This is the real stuff. So yeah, those are the books I would get in tune with very deeply. And then like I have this, but you know, this is for home healing and stuff when shit hits the fan. And then again, for when shit hits the fan, you need the mug-in guide from a Navy SEAL. So I got all my bases covered, finance and on. So, in the cannabis podcast, Julie got me this. You would like this. She got me the cannabis infusion. It's the herbally infused and chronically bemused, the master. It's the edible stuff. But yeah, that's what I would do. JB says, thanks for not forgetting where you started, Tom. This means a lot, and thanks for sharing. God gives his toughest battles to his strong kids, bro. I believe that. But no, I said from the beginning, it doesn't mean anything when I first started, but wait until we start this journey. I'm not going to change. I'm going to have more of a voice, and more people are going to expect me to change. And that's where the devil comes in. There's not all money's good money. I've been offered a lot of money now. Actually, almost a grotesque amount, but I don't, like, the bottom line is, like, that's not, there's other things. Like, I would rather build what we have than get handed it, so. Where are we at? Did we make the new low yet? Did we come down to 244? No. See, it feels like we're at that trigger point, like we might want to come up and try to test these drop points again. I don't know. We're close. Yeah, please. And on the Telegram, if you have success stories, let me see what we have here. If there's anything on here yet. If you have a success story that you want to share, where's this at? We got so many different sections. I want to say it's in here. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the Spotlight members. Where the hell is it at? I don't know why I can't. I could be missing it. I don't know. I can't see it defined. There's so much stuff. Oh, yeah, we got to look at this real quick, too, while we're together. We got to look at this. I don't even know when I'm going to end. I know it's been an hour, but I'm not in no hurry right now, honestly. We're just talking. Bitcoin, more. We got some liquidity over the top. We're going to have to go into the monthly because there is not a lot. I want to see what's building in the shorter term.
About inflation risks, because in recent days some members seem more concerned about upside risk and other members seem more concerned about downside risk. So
well, I seen a question. The importance of the Ethiopic Bibles, it doesn't just sorry, my nose is running. It doesn't just include the Old Testament. So you can actually see a wider version. But it goes all the way back, and instead of being from the 1930s redactions and stuff, you can go all the way back to the 1700s and even further. Jesse, that's funny. Jesse says, I have the Navy SEALs bugging book because I can't read charts, laugh out loud. At least I'll be able to survive. Amen to that. Amen to that. Whoops. Let's get this. I'm going to go to XRP real quick. I'm just curious real quick to see what we could be tugging at right now. What the? It keeps going back. It's like it doesn't want XRP to be seen. I just want to see liquidity. So, major liquidity above, right around 260, no, 270-ish is where you get some. But down here, yeah, we'd have to come all the way down to 231 to hit any real liquidity down here. You got some in between, a couple million, 20 million, 29. We did come through that pink area that was left on the push up, so
be attentive to that.
maybe we try to push this into like the
From potential
2 week and see what it looks like.
in the supply chain.
Yeah, see up at, you can see where you can see what's starting to form here now with these further drops. Look at all this liquidity up here.
Authorities will
There's a lot more, there's a dark area up there in the 2 week.
which is, as you know,
What does it look like in the weekly then?
material
Oh yeah, we took out this major area. These were the dark areas. Now it's all above. Now we're coming back to the finicky down below. On average, you're going to find 10 times more volume up here for liquidation. It does seem to be pointing to an upward move soon. We've got too much liquidity trapped up there. Even in the small time frames, you can see the liquidity trapped. I know MQ talked about that. Scotty Trades talked about that yesterday. And welcome in, Scotty. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here on the Telegram and also being in time zone for your second month with the Dusty Dotto's Crypto News along with Sola Jeffy. I really appreciate that. Cannabis Podcast. I'm going to have to take a picture of that so I don't forget. It says, read The Creature from Jekyll Island. Great book. And thanks for being in time zone for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor, my friend. So we have that with the liquidations with XRP, so we can see a lot of them above. Whoops. We can see a lot of liquidation above.
in the risk section, but I just want to these two because there are ingredients that feed into service inflation, which in September has picked up by 0.1%.
I could argue the fact that we might come back up to that 254.7 at some point from yesterday's close in the futures. Let's see the 12-hour. Yeah, I mean, look at this little area. Even up to 260. You got a nice little bit of volume or liquidity that's formed here all of a sudden in the last 12 hours up at about 260-ish, 259.6. That's a rather wide area for the last 12 hours. $213 looks fairly clean. Yeah. There's the farther down you go in that direction, I mean, there's not a ton of liquidity down. I mean, there's some, but compared to over the top, it's pretty remarkable how there's nothing down here. Like, this is what I was trying to tell the audience. Like, there's no real liquidity. They're better off. Maybe they do come down here first, but they're better off making that push over the top to create that downside liquidity. They'd be better off to come up here, maybe not way up there, but to come up to that 270 area at least and take that. There's so much liquidity there. And then you got to come way up here, so it might not make sense, but there's a lot of liquidity up here they could take. Not so much as you come through these areas. So I think we could get stopped in those zones. It just kind of feels like we could. It feels like to me, Scotty, do you feel any kind of sneaky reversal coming on here? Or do you just think it's going to be straight through? Just based on the stochastic and stuff, it kind of looks like before the weekend we could retap that 254 area. Oh, what is it? What heat map is that? What's the heat map look like on the longs? That heat map is the Coinank, the other one you're talking about. Is when I show the Bitcoin long short comparison. So I can do that right now. Let's put it into the 24-hour. So for Bitcoin right now, we've got 51.73% going short across the board, 48.26% going long. So more shorts than longs right now. And there's about $5 billion more going short than long. With Ethereum, we've got 50.96% going short, 49.04% going long, about $2 billion more in the short pool than long. For XRP, 51.74% going long. Let's see. 51.74% long, 48.26% short. 5.08 billion going short, 4.74 billion going long. So I don't know who said CME under $1, but I know about an FVG at like 91 cents or so, and then a little bit lower. I don't know. I would think those CMEs from way down there have been filled and cleared. Like not filled, but just they're done. It couldn't even have happened because the XRP futures didn't even start, what, a couple weeks ago? So maybe, I don't remember it ever being around when we were, like Nick said, sub $2. Where's it at? Yeah, it didn't even exist before $2. FVGs, yes. But you want to know the difference. Some people don't know the difference between an FVG and a CME gap. They're completely different things. You know, you really want to know the difference. It's almost as critical as knowing that difference than the difference between a market and a limit order in crypto. Or the difference between spot and futures. It's that different. If impulsive 213 is on the table. I'm trying to find a way to get down there. I'm trying to find a way to get down there because we have a lack of liquidity. Do we just go straight there? Or do we create a top side hit a little bit to create more downside liquidity? That's the only question I keep asking myself. I know we went up to 265, but now we've cleared the space again. If we go up again, even if it's only to that 254.7, that should add a little bit more downside liquidity. But right now it seems like we're going to be throwing darts to get down there. I don't think 242 in the short term's off the table though, because I could see us coming, and again, that's the end of this demand zone. So if we come out of here, it could represent a big problem here, because then I don't know how we hold and don't come back down a little bit. That 242 is everything in my opinion right now. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. If this area doesn't hold, we got a problem. Daily's clearing down now, but that's going to get halted as the 4-hourly has to clear space, and that is so dramatically in the wrong zone that eventually these are going to clear out. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's going to be to come all the way up. I just think we got that 254 area that was left on the CME chart that we can hit. I just look for these micro movements. Doesn't look good right now. It absolutely turned into that Bart Simpson rounding of the top like we talked about during It's ugly. Rejected right where it was supposed to. Like literally. Right where it was supposed to. That's what's ugly about this. I've been of the belief it's going to be a diagonal like Bitcoin. It's the more bullish scenario. I don't mind that. Honestly, Scotty, I would not mind that at all. Nick Morales, I'm glad that you appreciated the way I was saying that. Crypto Cooter 243 liquidates me, so I'm hopeful we hit the CME first. Ooh. That's what I was saying when you get down to the lower liquidations. Right around that 240, I think I said 244 area would start. So you're at 243, so that makes sense. You're not, honestly, guys, I think you're okay right now. And I know it could come right through right now. But because we have that CME from last night at 254.7, I think that's, if you could have survived this run over right now and overnight, you might get bailed out here, honestly. So you really want to see, exactly, XRP1, it's at 249.3. We want to see that run back up with us. I mean, I'm not saying it's guaranteed you're going to avoid that liquidation. There's not in a long ways. It's just there's opportunity that maybe it won't come all the way down there. But if it comes to that pattern back test at 242, well, you're fucked. Well, we're all fucked. Because then if it breaks that, we're all, even if you're not in leverage, going to be in a hot water. Exactly why we have to practice risk management. Absolutely, Scotty Trades. Absolutely. You know, the allure of leverage is you can make easy money, but what's not talked about is, yeah, the other part of it. How easily money is lost. But yeah, 246 has hit several times. 257. Yeah, I mean, that would be back over. XRP1 is the futures. It's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange pricing. So that's what it is on the futures market. Just like we look at Bitcoin on the CME, that's XRP CME. So that's like what takes place on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It just started, though. It hasn't been around very long. It started on May 19th. So the lowest you could have ever seen the price on the here was like $1.98 when it pushed through. Even on the incredible drop, that tells you the manipulation in the exchanges. Look how far this only came. We only came down to 224 on this chart. Remember all the charts that were showing $1.80 and then all the way down even farther? Isn't that crazy, the difference? We came to 222 in the futures chart, but yet the exchange pricing was way down. All the way down to some to 81. Yes, exactly. Thank you for saying that, Nick. Not to be confused with crypto futures on crypto exchanges. Absolutely. A lot of people do get confused by that. That's the perpetual futures if you're looking on the exchanges, everybody. So if you're looking for futures pricing, that would be this XRP USDTP futures pricing on Maxia. This one's adapted to. That's the perpetual futures contracts, which is what you want to see if you want to see the futures price. And then if you want to see the Chicago Mercantile Exchange futures, which is the CME futures, which is also why it has a D because it's delayed.
Certain financial instruments that I would not call currencies.
But hey, we're learning something today. We are learning, baby. We are learning. What's Axelar doing now? Did Axelar break down even further, or is it starting to round its bottom? Probably starting to round its bottom, maybe. No, it's still got time. What am I talking about? We don't even know the real support. That's right on this one. We're just speculating. Conjecture and lecture and bullshit. Because we don't know. Maybe this is. And if this falls out, then it goes way farther. Crypto? I'll tell you this. If you can't read a chart, crypto is no fun. Even if you can read a chart, natural emotion can make it no fun. Look at Epic down 9% today. 9% in fading. But again, we don't know where we're at. So we're trying to figure out where this is at. So we got to wait for the evidence before we even know. Now we'll know the channel. So I keep saying we're waiting for this next push so we can see. Man, we're getting way oversold here. 2, 3. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, push the back towards neutral. Oh, he almost got it. Man, we are way oversold in everything but the daily. This is awesome. Expect some volatility here in the market today. Oh, yeah. I only have it for NASDAQ Live now. But it's nice. XRP1, absolutely. So you said it's $5 or $6 a month for live data, but you also have to pay the $20 or $25 for the cheapest premium on TradingView plan. I have a TradingView plan. I don't pay for live data. I probably should, but that's why I can have all these charts because I pay the I don't know how much it is, $20 a month or something. 20. I don't know what it is. But I always forget that I can add a chart on a chart too, which is actually pretty cool. I mean, we're just waiting to see if this plays out, everybody. That's the best I can say. We're going to have to wait to see if whoops. I don't want to publish an idea. But there's a lot of stuff here. That's the cool part. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Like, there is not a dull moment right now in crypto. Got to go ready for work. Be safe, guys. Nick, be safe. Thank you so much for being the trusted technical advisor in the Telegram and also a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. It's very, very important for our community. Very, very important. Oh, I have the essential. That's what it was. The essential. Whoops. That just looks stupid as hell. Oh, that's because I added the Bitcoin chart. I don't know, but we're going to be watching this real closely right now. I know I keep harping on this chart, but it is this chart. I'd like to see the pullback here to 254.7 and then see if we continue to 242. That's basically what I'm looking for this morning. Or if we were going to go right to 242, but my suspicion is we were way oversold in some of these smaller time frames, even all the way through the 4-hourly, that we're actually ripe for some kind of movement to the upside. It really does look like that. Even if it's just a back toss, we're ripe for some movement. I know for you guys that are liquidated at 243, it probably feels better to see 248 instead of 245. It could. Ledger, and this could be the start maybe for that pushback to that 254.7 area. Let's see. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick. Ethereum's back tested this now perfectly. Like it's finally back tested this area. It's right at the apex. This is the fucking crazy thing when you look at this. The apex of this move for back test was October 30th. Is that coincidence or by design? I'm just curious. Is this by coincidence or design that this happened at the apex point? Honestly. So now when we remeasure this for the breakout from here, that short move can get us to 43.80. I don't know, is that coincidence or is that just perfect planning that it would come right back to the consolidation of the breakout on the apex day? Today was the apex, October 30th. That's pretty interesting. Now on leverage, it's good to use the smaller time frames when you get in, but if you're looking for a long-term move, you want to make sure that you understand what's going on in like the 4-hourly, the 3-hourly, especially when it comes to the stochastic, because there's two ways of thinking of this. The 2-hourly could still pull down farther, and we could come down with it with Ethereum, or it's just at that point now where it's got no choice but to start reversing here a little bit. But I don't know. It is very dicey. We're stuck within a range right now, that's for sure. But look how quick it's going back and forth. This isn't for the faint of heart. This is not for the faint of heart. Keep an eye on 232.84. That's the 61.8 fib in a diagonal. Ooh, good information. Hold on, I'm going to write that on the chart. 232.84. I like that. 232. No, I don't want to put it on this one. I want to put it on the information chart. This can be deleted. It was filled.
All of these back office operations and companies. So for example,
232.84.
IT support or customer support or security.
Oh, I love it. That's some good information.
80% of this work now is being done by agents.
Close enough.
Not at the expense of people. The people
What did he put down?
AI teammate
61.8
to do the
fib
things that they really never really liked very much.
in a diagonal support. So 61, or no, 2.3284. What the fuck Come on, pull that back up. Are you kidding?
Navigate the AI universe that
So,
we're operating in. So it's meaningful work. It's exciting.
2.3284 is diagonal.
Assess everybody in the company and train them for this new environment so
Whoops.
we all win together. And we're hiring, as you know.
You're hiring. The companies who serve with enterprise software, they're not looking to just build it themselves. How
Let's
do you
see.
distinguish that enterprise software has to be a link in the chain?
Oh, I definitely spelled that wrong.
It's the right question to ask. And it's very different in the enterprise than it is in the consumer world.
Why does it put the us? No, I did not hit us. Now I know why it looks stupid.
Companies in the world. Caroline, there's 60 years of legacy
Diagonal
technology that has evolved
support
in the enterprise. The enterprise is
at
really complicated. So when you
61.8.
think about industries, whether it's financial services and managing the regulatory environment, or all of the legacy complex systems that they have built up.
Thank you, Mr. Scotty.
You're not going to solve that problem.
Beautiful.
A language model that's serving the interests of consumer productivity. That takes real enterprise AI. So enterprise AI is
True.
different.
It would. That I love it.
But what's unique
I love it.
now is we integrated.
That's the other part of this. Will we get some kind of rising before the escrow dump, or are we just going to dump going into it? That's the other part of this. That's the other part of this. So I should probably end this. I'm probably most likely going to do another live tonight as long as my son's good around the 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should probably save my voice and all that. Tom, can you make a list of the books that you were mentioned in the Telegram? Maybe couldn't see the ones you were. Oh, absolutely. I can try to go through and like try to link it up to their buy sheets. Because I could probably link it up to where they sell it on their YouTube channel so they get credit. Or no, on their where did I buy it? I think I bought Mike Maloney's on Amazon. And then I bought, or my brother bought me Irwin Ship for my birthday one year. They're hard. The Irwin Ship one's not easy to find. That one you're gonna have to pay a little bit more for. But yeah, I'll go through and I'll try to match it up. So all you have to do is click on it so that you can buy it from where they sell it. But yeah, so I guess that's where we're at. We have underneath support at 242 on the pattern that we broke out of if we want to back test this little formation, which we have a wider broadening wedge in here, which is another issue in itself. But we could come down here and hold possibly at 242. We could come up to that 254.7, which is the CME closed gap from last night in the futures market for XRP. Not to be confused with the perpetual futures, which is what you can trade on the crypto exchanges and leverage. As Scotty Trade says, the diagonal support is at the 61.8 fib, which is $2.3284. So pay attention to all these levels. We'll try to keep feeding the information. I encourage you to go on the Telegram. If you are going to leverage trade, which I don't advise, be safe. The exchanges you see on here, TOOBIT and NO.KYC are the two that I use outside of the tier 1 exchanges because the fees are non-existent. And IOTA Spot is on NO.KYC, is why I use that. And then I use TOOBIT for Epic. I like buying it there. I like to buy Linea. I have Algo there, but I like to use it for the cheapness, the lack of fees. Especially if you're a leverage trader, find an exchange that you're not getting hammered with. The last thing you need to do is get hammered with fees. So, ooh, Mr. Scott, that wouldn't be not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Now, I didn't read a lot of books when it came to TA. I did it in real time on the charts and I would see something and then I would Google search it and be like, hey, this little setup seems to be showing up a lot. What the hell does that mean? And I would do stuff like that. Watch Peter Schiff when he does his little technicals. Watch Mike Maloney when he was hinting at his technical. There's a few people that are really good at that kind of stuff. But have a blessed day, everybody. Thank you all for the 157 likes in this live. That